Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Crimes. I, as always, am your host, Tyler Groff von Rebick. That's right. The Groff has returned with another episode. And I want to say thank you in advance to anyone who watches it and everyone who watches it. And we really appreciate our new subscribers and all the views we've been getting lately and stuff. It's really taken off. I'm just so surprised that it's really doing that good. Once again, I'm going to say thank you from all of us here at Coffee and Crimes to wonderful people like you who watch our videos, especially the 400 plus that have watched the Green River Killer episode and the almost 300 that have watched the Tiger King episode. That's just great. I was so excited about that. Today's episode is on Tsutomu Miyazaki, the Otaku Murderer. I don't really know much about this one, so it's going to be a ride, I imagine. It seems like it's Japanese, though, so that'd be great stuff. Me and my wife are actually pretty big fans of Japanese culture and stuff. We don't know everything about Japan, but we like the Japanese culture, like taking your shoes off when you enter a house, and the kimonos and the Japanese honor system and everything. It's really good. We really enjoy that. All right, let's jump in. Public entertainment is often perceived as fun, incredible, odd, weird, yeah, and at times evil. Oh my. Yet with all the forms of entertainment in the world, it's often only a matter of time before people start popping up seeking to do harm and stating that they were subliminally messaged to do so via these forms of entertainment. I guess that's pretty true. I mean, subliminal messaging has been, blamed on a lot of different things, and then they have public outcries on like Dungeons and Dragons and violent video games, and I mean slasher movies, even like haunted movie, like horror movies and stuff. Like a lot of different people out there, like that guy who shot up that Aurora Theater, said he was thinking he was the Joker and stuff from The Dark Knight when he did that. We might cover that in a future episode. Also, that reminds me, I forgot to say, but this episode was actually voted on in a poll that I set up on the Coffee and Crimes community page on YouTube. And I've decided that I might do that like every week, where basically I'll get a poll set up and then people can, get on there and vote and everything, and hopefully, get more participation out there and, let's take off. All right. Today's episode takes place in such a concept. Viewer discretion is advised. This episode is dark, grim, and at times unbearable. Oh, no. Especially after that, Tiger King episode, which is just bizarre as hell. I guess we're back to darkness. Early years. Tsutomu Miyazaki was born on the 21st of August, 1962, in the city of Itsukuchi, Japan. I'm gonna probably get a lot of this wrong because I don't really understand. I don't speak Japanese, so I might get some of them. I mispronounce some of them, so I apologize in advance to all my Japanese viewers out there. To wealthy parents Katsumi and Rieko Miyazaki. Miyazaki was born prematurely, weighing only 4.8 pounds, and suffered from a rare birth condition known as congenital radial ulnar fusion disease, which caused the joints in his hands to be fused together, rendering him unable to bend his hands upward. Oh, God, that's gotta suck. Miyazaki's defects caused him to be shunned by most of the other children he encountered. Due to his parents' stringent work schedules, Miyazaki was largely left in the care of his grandfather, Shakichi, and a mentally impaired man that the family hired as a nanny and caretaker. Okay. Miyazaki kept to himself throughout elementary school due to his poor social skills and birth defects. However, He did manage to maintain excessively good grades and was among the top 10 of his class when he graduated elementary school. After this, he attended the prestigious Meidai Nakano High School in Nakano, Japan, which was a school associated with the exquisitely elite Meiji University. A former student from the school later said that Miyazaki was not very confident with women due to the fact that his genitals were no bigger than a toothpick. Damn. And he just had it hard all the way around. This despite his abnormally high sex drive. Early in school, Miyazaki hoped to matriculate to Meiji University and become a teacher. Unfortunately, Miyazaki's grades plummeted in a dramatic fall, and he graduated 40 out of 56 students. I mean, that's horrible, but, I mean, it could be worse. It could have been the 56th out of 56 students. So, I mean, yeah, it could always be worse. Damn. Adulthood. His high school career failing led to Miyazaki being denied admission to Meiji University, and instead he attended a local junior college to become a photography technician. While in the college, Miyazaki began carrying a camera with which he would start taking crotch shots of female students, and recording the underwear of female tennis players. Why? He would lock himself in his bedroom for hours, collecting and reading pornographic magazines, though the magazines were censored and Miyazaki grew increasingly unsatisfied with them. Miyazaki's poor grades and bad social behavior were chalked up to his being emotionally cut off from his parents, who were disappointed that he had no desire to pursue their career of managing a regional newspaper company. Oh, it's just horrible. Like, why do parents do that? Like, they want their kid to do something and follow in their shoes, and then, he decides he's going to be like, I want to have my own thing. They're like, what have you done? And then they just cut him off, and they just hate him and everything. That's abuse. I mean, if you ask me, that's parental abuse, like neglect. Well, maybe not neglect, but that's a form of emotional abuse. Just the same. And after the refusal to talk to him, Miyazaki shunned his family except for the grandfather that had practically raised him. He also had a close relationship with his oldest sister, while his younger sisters found him repulsive. In 1984, Miyazaki began to collect child pornography as an outlet for his pent-up frustration. Oh my. Child pornography was not hampered by the Japanese obscenity laws, which only banned pubic hair rather than actual genitals? Did they allow child porn? Or kiddie porn? CP? I know these things aren't monetized, but I still don't want to piss off YouTube. I don't get it. How was he able to get his hands on it? I mean, okay, I don't know. That's out there. In May of 1988, Miyazaki's grandfather, Shakichi, passed away, and it sent him spiraling into a state of intense depression. After his grandfather was cremated, the ashes were brought to the family home. Miyazaki swiped a portion of the ashes and consumed them, hoping they would bring him closer to his grandfather. Oh, God, man. Yeah, it reminds me of that urban legend where that, family living... I don't want to get offbeat or anything, but this family live in Europe, and the grandparents live in move to America, and they send them care packages, and then 1 year they don't, and 1 year the care packages stop coming, and then they receive this jar of powder, so they think it's flour or something for gravy, so they make gravy out of it. The family eats it and it tastes awful, and then they discover in a letter that came in the box that the grandfather died and was cremated and wanted his ashes spread in his home country, and yeah, that was what was in the jar. It wasn't flour. It's like, oh my God. I couldn't even imagine how awful that would be. Miyazaki contemplated suicide and grew increasingly violent toward his family. He attacked one of his sisters after she caught him spying on her while she took a shower. After this, he attacked his mother for demanding he work more and spend less time being a deviant. He moved into his own apartment after this and started collecting books and films from the anime industry as well as others. damn. I'd say he's on a fast track to, like, nowhere. Murders. Oh, well, yeah, I guess so. On August 22nd, 1988, the day after Miyazaki turned 26, he approached 4-year-old Mari Kano while she was outside a friend's house, and led her to get into his black Nissan Langley. Miyazaki then drove the car west of Tokyo and parked under a bridge in a wooded area. There, he sat with Mari for half an hour. He then proceeded to murder her by strangulation. Oh my god. Damn, dude. Shit. He molested her body after... okay. Four years old. Oh. Sick bastard. He then undressed her corpse and took the clothes home with him. Why? After this, Miyazaki would call her family periodically and hang up to remain silent when they answered. After waiting several weeks, Miyazaki returned to Kano's decomposed body and removed her hands and feet, which he kept in a box in his closet, while he later cremated her remains and crushed the bones into a fine powder, which he then mailed into her family in a box, along with teeth, photos of her clothes, and a postcard that read, Mari, bones, cremated, investigate, prove. This got really dark really fast. I mean, I knew that this was probably where it was coming from, because it said viewer discretion and everything, but oh my god. I hope it don't get any worse. I don't know why I say that. I know it probably will. On October 3rd, Miyazaki was driving to a rural area when he spotted 7-year-old Masami Yashizawa walking home. He stopped and asked if she needed a ride home, which she accepted. However, instead of taking Yashizawa home, he drove to the wooded area he had previously used to kill Kano and killed Yashizawa the same way he had done before. Again, leaving her body in the woods while taking her clothes. 2 months later, on December 12th, Miyazaki picked up 4-year-old Erika Namba as she walked away from a friend's house and drove her to a parking lot in Nagori. Once there, Miyazaki forced Namba into the back seat, had her undressed, took pictures of her, and then killed her. I don't like these episodes where it's like children being murdered and shit. That's just awful. Why anybody getting murdered, but children especially, it's like, yeah, it just hurts. He tied her hands and feet behind her back, covered her in a bedsheet, and put her body in the trunk. He then drove to a wooded area where he disposed of her clothes and left her body in an adjoining parking lot. Again, Miyazaki taunted Namba's family with silent phone calls and sent them a postcard with words made from cut-out letters from a magazine that read, Erika, cold, cough, throat, rest, death. On June 6, 1989, Miyazaki approached 5-year-old Ayako Namato and asked to photograph her, which she accepted. He then led her to his car, where he killed her by strangulation, covered her body in a bedsheet, and placed it in the trunk of the car. However, unlike the others, Miyazaki brought Namado's body to his apartment and spent 2 days consecutively taking pictures of it, posts, videotaping, and molesting it. Oh my god. Why has nobody caught him yet? After decompensation had set in, Miyazaki dismembered the body, leaving the torso in a cemetery and the head in some hills by the house. Keeping the hands in his apartment, he cannibalized them and drank blood from... Okay. I'm tapping out on this one. Okay. I know. Like, but you read Albert Fish and Richard Chase and whoever else, that Dean Corll bastard, but it's like, this bothers me. Okay. I'm going to finish the episode. Hopefully he gets caught and, like, I don't know, executed. 2 weeks later, Miyazaki grew afraid that the police would find the body parts to tie to him, so he returned to pick up the deposited body parts and brought them back home, placing them in the closet with the hands and feet of Marikano. Arrest, trial, and death. Oh boy, I bet he gets executed. Or just killed by the police. While watching the news, Miyazaki saw the police had identified the remains of Marikano from the powder in the box he had sent to her family and wrote a letter to the Kano family. However, this letter was just a detailed description of her body decomposing over the time he left her in the woods. Piece of shit. On July 23rd, 1989, Miyazaki was in a park in Hachioji when he spotted two sisters playing together. Miyazaki drew the younger sister away from the older one and took her into his car, where he convinced her to strip so he could take photographs of her. However, the older sister managed to tell her father, who came running and dragged Miyazaki out of the car, pummeling him. Damn right, I would have too. What's it called when you like open palm hit someone just right in the neck, just shove their nose into their brain and kill them? I probably would have done that. Especially if someone was with my daughter doing that shit. Yeah, no, he'd be dead. Police would have to arrest me. Miyazaki managed to escape and ran away from the park. Damn. After a bit of time, he returned to get his car and was immediately arrested by the police that had been waiting for him to return, as his abductions had put everyone on red alert for any potential suspects. Damn right. Good job, cops. Good job, Japanese police. You guys are awesome. The police brought investigators to Miyazaki's apartment, and what they found was shocking. They discovered that he had collected over 5,760 videotapes. Damn, that's a lot of film. Many containing anime and slasher films, while there were videos interspersed with recordings of him mutilating and abusing corpses. Oh, Jesus. God. They discovered the clothing and effects of the victims. In the closet, they discovered the remains of the victims he had stored there. Once the evidence had been found and the immense collection of his films had been disclosed to the public, the press began calling Miyazaki the Otaku Murderer. Otaku is Japanese for nerd, and is commonly a pejorative for anyone associated with the anime culture. I don't know if it's just anime. I'm sure there's otaku is just probably a broad word, I would imagine. So anybody, like comic book people, which I guess is mangas or comic books of sort. I don't know. The trial started on March 30th, 1990. Miyazaki remained stoic and calm for most of the trial, at one point blaming the crimes on an alter ego called Ratman that he drew in manga form to show to the court. Okay. It was discovered during the trial that Miyazaki's mother was not actually his biological mother. Whoa, what? But that he was actually the offspring of an incestuous relationship between his father and his older sister. Oh my God. I mean, I suppose that explains for him being, psychotic. I mean, that's not to say, all children of, incest or psychotic or anything. So, I'm sorry to anyone who might have been offended by that. Miyazaki was subject to mental testing, as the law in Japan is that feeble-minded people are subject to short sentences or not eligible for punishment if found to be insane. 3 sets of tests were performed on Miyazaki, with the first one determining that Miyazaki was schizophrenic, the second that he had multiple identity disorder, and the third that while he did have a personality disorder, he was nonetheless of sound mind when he committed the murders and had an understanding of the gravity of his crimes. Miyazaki's parents disowned their son, and his father refused to pay his legal fees. I would too. The 7-year trial, oh my God, 7 years? Ended in April 14th, 1997, when Miyazaki was sentenced to death for murder, cannibalism, rape, necrophilia, vampirism, and kidnapping. His appeals to higher courts ended the same way in 2001 and 2008. Tsutomu Miyazaki was hanged on June 17, 2008, along 2 other men sentenced to death for unrelated crimes. His final words, according to some reports, were either, "Tell the nation I am a gentleman." Okay, that's obviously a lie. The other suggested final words were, "I'm going to get you, Batman, I swear, if it's the last thing I do." Fucking nerd. Final notes. Tsutomu Miyazaki committed and was found guilty of 4 murders. He had attempted a 5th but was thwarted. He also later admitted that he had killed animals as well. Miyazaki is commonly known as the Otaku Murderer, but he was also dubbed the Little Girl Murderer, the Human Dracula, and the Rat Man. Because he had that Rat Man bullshit theory when he was in court, right? Katsumi Miyazaki was continually disturbed by his son's crimes and committed suicide out of shame in 1994. Miyazaki's response upon hearing of his father's suicide was, "I feel refreshed." This guy just doesn't care. Yeah. After Miyazaki's trial, moral outcry came against the anime culture, demonizing manga and anime cartoons. However, psychologists will later state that the anime was not responsible for the crimes, but that Miyazaki's mental disturbances and neglect had caused him to develop an alternate reality, fueled by the anime and slashers he watched, rather than the anime culture at large. This slam outcry was later used against video games at a later date. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. Like, video games are blamed for mass shootings and shit like that. And well, I'm not saying that, there isn't a connection because, the mass shooters were playing video games. I mean, they obviously had something like a wire loose or a disconnect from reality that caused them to think that it was all just a game or whatever. Miyazaki never showed any regret or remorse for his crimes, calling them an act of benevolence. Yes, your disgusting murder and cannibalism and rape and necrophilia is all benevolent. Are we sure he didn't have something wrong, like mentally? I mean, I guess he was like schizophrenic and stuff, but are we sure he wasn't like, I don't know, a sociopath? Or a psychopath? It seems like it. Child killer Kaoru Kobayashi described himself as the next Tsutomu Miyazaki or Mamoru Takuma, who was another Japanese serial killer. Miyazaki was not amused and stated, "I won't allow him to call himself the second Tsutomu Miyazaki when he hasn't even undergone a psychiatric examination." Dude, okay, alright. That's the last final note, and I'm going to say that this episode is like equal parts disturbing and equal parts just stupid. This is a tough one. This shit was not like, I mean, I saw Otaku Murderer, and I was originally thinking like, I don't know, this guy, like he kills people via like an anime that he watched or something. Because I know just a little bit about otaku and stuff like that. I had friends in school who used to read animes or used to read mangas and watch anime all the time. My sibling, for instance, loves like anime and stuff like that. I was not expecting this though. I guess I should start reading these ahead of time before I, do this on video. But then again, I guess you all wouldn't get to see me, react in such ways, right? I guess that's part of the show. All right. Well, this episode was god awful and dark, and I hope you all, tune in next time for the next episode. This has been Coffee and Crimes. I've been your host, Tyler Groff von Rebick, and I will see you next time.